Speaking of movie reviews, I saw another film last night with my girl, Jennifer Garner, in her new film, Peppermint. And I think the trailers for this movie have looked outstanding. I love Jennifer Garner in these roles. I was really stoked and excited to go see it last night, part of my doubleheader with The Nun. And I also cannot recommend it. I can't recommend it. Now, let me talk about some of the good things about the film first. Number one, Jennifer Garner delivers. Look, everybody knows, like, she's my big celebrity crush, so maybe I have a little bit of bias. But honestly, put that aside. Most people are talking to were buzzing about Jennifer Garner. She's terrific in this movie. And I'll say this too. There are lots of actors in Hollywood who play action heroes. There are only 4 or 5 who are legit action stars. Jennifer Garner is legit one of them. She sells you on all the action in it. And the action in it is the highlight of the movie. The action in it is brutal. It's violent. It does have a little, not as good as John Wick, but it's got a John Wick kind of feel to it. And again, I'm not saying it's as good as the action is not as good as John Wick. It's not. But it's in that vein, and it's exciting, and it's thrilling. And there are a number of times you go, oh, when you're seeing things she's doing to people. Garner plays a ruthless, like nothing, like a lot of characters they say in movies have nothing left to lose. They really make this character as somebody who has nothing left to lose, and they actually play the character like that. And it makes them ruthless, sometimes sadistic. It's very, very brutal. And Jennifer Garner plays it great. She's a wonderful action star in it. And look, if you're just looking for a little bit of fun at the movies this weekend, yeah, maybe you should go check out Peppermint. However, and unfortunately, this movie is about 20 minutes too long. This is a movie that very, very much could have benefited from a better editor. Now, you all see from the trailers that the whole setup of this movie is Jennifer Garner loses her husband and her daughter to some gangsters. And the gangsters get off, and they don't get punished for it. She disappears for 5 years, comes back to punish them. They spent, in my opinion, far too much time in that first part. And look, I know you do want to establish the character. You want to establish her connection to her husband and her daughter. You got to be able to feel her pain if you're going to get what she's doing in the rest of the movie. I understand that, but I still feel they spent too much time there. I think they could have done it faster and still had the same impact. So there's that. Then, once you get to the bad guys, I mean, it is straight out of a corny gang crime 1980s style film, and I don't mean that in the good way, because there's a good way to do that, but it was just the villain completely one-dimensional with nothing but stereotypical line after stereotypical line after stereotypical line coming out of his mouth, and it just made it weak, you know? It just made it weak. What could have been a very, very strong premise with this, a mother out for revenge. Because you guys know, I am a sucker for the righteous vengeance of a parent whose child has been harmed or killed. Those types, like where they're talking about Taken or whatever, I am a sucker. I will buy into those movies every day, man. Twice on Sundays. And they had this great premise, but with such horrible villains, a narrative jumps that just didn't make much sense at all. And the fact that it did drag in many places, despite some fantastic action, there wasn't enough of the fantastic action to make up for that extra 20-25 minutes that should have been sliced out of the film. And you can really feel the weight of that throughout the movie. Jennifer Garner crushes it. Absolutely does. And the action is great. But again, much like I was saying with The Nun, those good things that are there unfortunately get drowned out by the pacing issues, many opportunities in the film that could have really been highlighted by some sharp dialogue, instead had some very bad dialogue, horrible villains. Again, I mentioned the bad pacing, all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, those things kind of overshadow the good stuff in it. So, yeah, I am sitting at a point where, unfortunately for me, I cannot recommend Peppermint. And that breaks my heart because my girl Jennifer Garner, I've been looking forward to this movie. The trailers looked fantastic and all, but I just can't recommend it. So there you go. Okay, let's move on now.